Welcome to the podcast with your favorite cash flow guys, Mike and Blaine. Giving you the best advice while having a beer. When you're running a business, there are problems every day. Let Mike and Blaine help you out and guide your way. Cheers to the good times with Mike and Blaine for business, beer, and BS.
Hey, it's Mike and Blaine trying to get this damn thing started. It's episode 199, one away from the 200 Super PAC. And I'm Mike Marlin, also known as Cashflow Mike. That is Blaine Birch, the co-founder and CEO of Dry Run, and my partner here in the podcast. What's up, man?
We are going to have a pretty good list of people to draw from for the 200 Super PAC. If you guys haven't heard what it is, all you got to do is like, subscribe, follow, and you will be entered into a draw for the 200 Super PAC, which has just a bunch of fun stuff, including an autographed 5x8 of Mike and I. I know that sounds amazing, but there is some other cool stuff in there too. So make sure you check it out and subscribe. Make sure you don't miss any of our shows. And that's coming up next week with a special guest. So it's going to be super fun.
Dude, I can't wait. He sent me, and we're talking about Neighbor Pat, by the way. Neighbor Pat's going to be our special guest, and we got a big question for him to answer. He's on a cruise right now. Can you believe that? Ooh. He's on a cruise. Right. So instead of sending pictures of like cool stuff, he sends a picture of himself on the cruise. I'm like going, there's got to be a better view on that boat. There's got to be a better thing to look at than just you. So then he sends pictures of some cornhole boards that are on the boat, and neighbor Thomas goes, "Oh, so you're not making any in the hole there either." so now he's cold. So he's an international cornhole loser now, I'm sure.
And he's gonna have to buy some stretchy pants on the boat, because I know how cruises go. All you do is eat and drink and sit on your ass for a week and a half, gain 30 pounds. So Pat, hopefully you're jogging around the cruise ship.
Yeah, so Neighbor Pat is one of our beer sponsors. And I tell you what, if you've never listened to the show and you're like, what is this business, beer, and BS about? It's about that, right? We talk a lot of business, a little bit of BS, and we always start off the show with a beer. And you could be a beer sponsor, because we talk about our beer sponsors where it's the best and cheapest advertisement you've ever got. It's the most value for $5 you've ever gotten. It's $5 an episode. You go to our website, mikeandblaine.com. buy us a beer, click that button, and boom, you're in. And most people do it for the year because it's still worth it, because we talk about you every episode all year long.
That's so inexpensive. There's no tariffs on our beer. There's no inflation on our beer. We started this years ago for $5 a pop, and we've just kept it $5. And we actually have 7 beer sponsors right now, which is pretty awesome. So what are you drinking this week? Because we always start with the beers that we're drinking.
Hey, I've got to tell you, I'm going to save the big story, because the whole episode that I wrote is about this interaction I had in HEB. And if you don't know anything about HEB in Texas, I don't know of any other grocery store that has a cult following. So I ran into the Real Ale brewery rep inside HEB, and we had a conversation. And I wanted to just talk about what they're trying to do and all that, because Real Ale is like minutes up the road from me, just north of me. Now they're the other side of the Guadalupe. So, I mean, if you're paying attention to the news, you know, there was a massive flood.
Yes.
Absolutely horrible down. I mean, it's about 10 miles north of me. Blanco is on the other side of the river from me, but they still got beer to us. So that was a good thing. That was one good thing that happened.
Well, the one out of almost nothing. So I feel awful for you guys down there, and hoping that everything gets cleared up pretty soon here. So, but I'm really anxious to hear the story here. Now, I will say that a grocery store with a cult following at like Trader Joe's, where we are in Scottsdale, seems to have a bit of a cult following. But maybe HEB is it? Maybe is even bigger thing down there.
Yeah, I mean, it's we call it Here Everything's Better, but it's actually the owner's initials. It's like Herbert something, but I'd have to look it up. Okay. Hey, Alexa, what is right? But it's actually the owner's initials.
Okay.
But we actually, I just call it Here Everything's Better.
All right, cool.
It's a massive, it is one of the best grocery stores I've ever been into in my life. Really, it is.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's nice to hear, because it's we here up in Canada and Edmonton here, we've got the Italian Center is probably our favorite, and there's a new sort of Italian center one called Tesoro, and I'll give both a plug because they're both really terrific little local grocery stores. So what beer from that brewery do you have today, or do you have one from them that you're gonna show off?
Yep. I just asked for Chelsea to tell me what HEB stood for.
Oh,
But
okay. Well,
here's what I found from Real Ale. Real Ale is they are trying to enter the big beer space,
ooh, okay, tough. Yeah.
right? So we're thinking Budweiser, we're thinking Bud Light, we're thinking Coors Light, Miller Light. That you see, everything has kind of a theme: light, 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 light. Why? Why is light beer such a thing? It's because it's a summertime type of beer. It's something that you can just go out on the river, you can float, you can tube, you can sit in the back, you can be at the pool, you can be anywhere and just drink a few of those, right?
Just drink some flavorless beer that tastes like water.
Probably so, right?
It won't be big with me.
Now, what's interesting is that it's called Real Ale, Real Texas Light Beer, right? And it's light because it's got low calories, low carbs.
Yeah.
And they're saying one of the things that stood out to me on the can was it says craft done light.
Oh, clever. Nice.
Right. So what they're saying is it's better ingredients. It actually has flavor. It's not the typical watered down craft beer.
Yep.
And that's what they're doing. They're saying, we believe that better ingredients, right? We believe that quality brewing, like they have, beats big multinational corporations, right?
Flavor and everything else should. Yep.
Flavor and everything else. So we're going to test it out today, and I'm excited about it. And I didn't go in there to buy this beer. I went in there to buy something for the show, but not this one.
Yep.
But the interaction with the rep was so awesome. And he goes, we're not retweeting. We're not resharing your stuff. I'm going,
should be.
No, I don't think so. He goes, we always do. It doesn't take much to do it. He goes, if we're not doing it, you message me and we will blast it out there because people will promote us. We want to promote them and support them. And they're minutes. I'm talking less than 30 minutes up the road.
Nice.
They are that close to me right now.
We will definitely we're going to, and they're going to be central to the topic today, which is really cool. And so I was wondering where the topic came from, because the topic that we're going to get to right away, guys, is the underdog advantage. And so we're going to talk about, everyone loves an underdog, but in business, they don't just need heart, they need strategy. And so we're going to dive into that. But before we do, we got to, well, first of all, I'm going to show you the beer I'm drinking. And you know what? Again, flavor, quality ingredients. And one of my favorite new breweries in Edmonton, I actually featured these guys a few weeks ago. I'm doing it again. Polyrhythm Brewing, and it's their 808 Irish Red. Now, if you are in Edmonton and you haven't been to Polyrhythm, not only do they have some great beer, they have the best hot dogs I think I've ever had in my life. And so I was asking about, this is no BS, right? Like I was asking, like, how the heck did you get to this sort of quality? And when you're talking about quality and where people really care about quality ingredients, I found out that the owner literally makes the wieners homemade only for the brewery. That's it. Makes them, they sous vide these things. And then they have all sorts of different types, and you can get, everything is quality. And the one that I love is they got one on right now that has like kimchi on top. And so, oh my God, it is so good. So if you're looking for, like, I haven't had a hot dog in years. Now it's like every weekend we're biking over and getting a hot dog and a beer, but it is amazing stuff. And they're just trying to get a reputation around town for how good their hot dogs are. So yeah, they're also an underdog. Every little microbrewery is an underdog. And so we're going to talk about that today.
All right. So that didn't sound healthy, but Joey Chestnut always wins the hot dog eating contest. I'm like, going, and he's still okay. he'll eat 70 hot dogs in 2 minutes, and nothing wrong with him.
Do you think that guy's going to make like 60? That just doesn't seem healthy to me. Like, I split a homemade hot dog like once a week with my wife. Although we shouldn't even be doing that many, I guess. But oh my God, they're good.
All right, so let me go back to this HEB thing real quick.
Yep.
All right, so HEB, the owner's name, and I couldn't remember the whole name, but Howard Edward Butt, right?
Howard
That's
Edward
that.
Butt.
Yeah. Now, here's what's important about it in this episode. It was started in a place called Kerrville, Texas. Right? Kerrville is the origination of the flood, right? That's where everything started. That's where the massive amount of damage happened. That's where the horrific amount. It's at the beginning of the Guadalupe where all of this happened. Kerrville is the thing. That's where everybody that gets on TV is from or in Kerrville. When the governor and the Secretary of Homeland Defense went to do a press conference, they were in Kerrville. But that's also where HEB started. So there's a big connection to all of this, right?
Yes. Okay. Interesting. So that's, again, thoughts are with you guys. And it's boy, for even for a business like that, it adds a lot of pressure and complication for small business in an area like that too. That sometimes is something else that we forget about. And except for, entrepreneurs like us, we always know you can be an underdog for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah. Well, another fun fact though, and because you've heard of Kroger, you big grocers across the country.
Yeah,
they're pretty much confined to Texas. HEB is, right? It's a Texas thing, and they are one of the largest private employers in the state of Texas.
Oh wow. Crazy.
Yeah, that's a big deal, right? I mean, because Texas is a big deal, right? So,
it's a big state,
a lot of big state. Yeah, big state, a lot of people. So to be one of the largest private employers, not a public employer, that's a big deal.
Yeah, that definitely is. So let's talk about our beer sponsors. So I got to tell you right off the bat, we got 7, so we got to get through them pretty quick here. Rachel Barnett from Gentle Frog. Rachel is a sponsor all the way to the end of the year. And if you have a small business and you need to know how to use QuickBooks Online, go check out Rachel's website at gentlefrog.com or go to her YouTube channel at Gentle Frog, and you can see all these videos that are going to show you how to use QBO to your best advantage.
And when you get QBO running, go to Karen Hairston to figure out exactly how to maximize cash in your business. Karen Hairston is a cash flow specialist up in Michigan, 3S Smart Consulting. So go check her out there.
And I'm going to dive in and thank your neighbor, Pat, because he's always bringing you beer. Even though he's out of town right now, he's making sure you got beer. Always got beer in the fridge, and he brews his own beer. So again, thanks neighbor Pat for supporting the show. We always appreciate it.
There you go. We got Devin. Devin is the biggest LSU fan on the planet, and I'm going to see him in just a few months. I'll tell you what, LSU has got a lot of stuff going on right now. So to be a LSU fan or connected to the university like he is, hey, it's got to be a plus in your life. You just got to be happy right now.
And Larry Weinstein, CPA in Houston, Texas. So if you are looking for a CPA, the cash flow cowboy, Larry Weinstein, you got to look him up and he'll get you all sorted.
And our newest one, right? Our newest one,
mm-hmm.
Jeff Robertson from Robertson LLC. And I don't know why I said LLC. That sounds weird when I say it so formal like that, but he is
fancy.
He is a marketing specialist that has transformed my business. So think about that. It's Cash Flow Mike's marketing specialist that you can also have access to. He can help you not only increase organic search, SEO, blogs. This guy knows how to drive traffic to you, and he knows all about the psychology of buying. So if you want to know more about marketing for your small business, go check out Jeff Robertson at Rabison, RABASON.com.
All right. Thanks, Jeff. We appreciate it. 10 weeks he bought last week. So that's pretty exciting. That was a lot of fun. So I want to hear where this idea came from, because you're talking a little bit about it. Let's get into that.
All right. So I went into HEB today, and James, and I'm going to mention James' name because I want Real Ale Brewing to know that he was out there pushing the product, right? Mm-hmm. All I'm doing is just walking down. So you've been to big grocery stores. They got a big line of coolers, mm-hmm. and they have there's almost a whole aisle of just craft beer. Now in Texas, there is half of that aisle is just Texas craft brewers. Right. So you got to think about Real Ale has to compete with everybody on that aisle. That's a Texas craft brewer. Well, luck of the draw, timing, whatever. You know how the universe just introduces you to somebody, right? So he's there with the distributor and they're stocking the cooler or taking inventory or whatever they're trying to do. And they go, hey, anything I can help you with? This is James just approaching me. I mean, like people do in a grocery store. I said, I'm just looking for something different, right? Something I haven't tried before, looking for something different. And what I was looking for, I thought wasn't going to be on that aisle because that's the craft beer aisle, right? Think about that. This is what we do in Mike and Blaine. It's craft beer. Mm-hmm. And he goes, oh, we got this, that, and the other. I said, yeah, I've done this one before. I've done that one before. He goes, what do you mean you've done that before? I said, oh, I've got this podcast called Mike and Blaine, Business, Beer, and BS. And we highlight a brewer kind of every week, right? A brewer or a beer. It could be the same brewer, but different beer. And I've done that one and this one and this one. And I said, I'm just looking for something kind of different. He goes, and then I asked him, I said, what one are you guys trying to promote? Because he's got the Real Ale hat. I said, which one are you guys trying to promote? He goes, you know what? We got this thing right now where we're taking on the big guys. We're taking on Coors Light. And if you know me, right? What do I normally drink? Just if it isn't, this, I drink Coors Light, something light, just a light beer, just drink. And he goes, we are taking on the big guys. We're taking on Coors. We're taking on Budweiser. We're taking on, all these multinational companies like InBev and what's that? Miller Coors, SAP or South African, something or another. All these multinationals.
Name of them, yeah. There's massive ones out there. Sapporo, I think, is connected to one of the big ones too. I think, yeah.
So they're saying we're taking it on because we believe, and he had me with that two words, we believe, because I'm a marketing guy. I love it when people say we believe because I think people buy people, not products, right? Yeah. The reason why Apple, remember we talked in the past, the reason why Apple is such a cult following is because they say, hey, we believe in challenging the status quo. So when this guy starts a sentence off with, we believe, I'm like going, shit, I'm in. What do you believe? Because if it's me, if it's the same as me, then I'm going to be also in. Yeah. He says, we believe that you can still have a session type beer, right? A beer that you drink every day when you're out doing your regular everyday things, mowing the lawn or whatever, with better ingredients, with a better taste, supporting the local economy and not giving all your money to the national corporations with a better product, right? Yeah. We believe that that's true. And because we believe that, we just released within the last year Real Texas Light Beer.
Nice.
So, yeah. And they didn't put it in the craft beer aisle. They put it next to Miller Lite. They put it next to Coors Light. They put it next to Bud Light. They go, we think that this is going to be so good that we can go head to head with the big boys. So think about that. These are two aisles, two sides of the aisle. You got to walk to the other refrigerators, right?
Yep.
They were so confident in their product that they put it right next to the big boys.
Yeah. And that is an underdog story because that's a challenge. That's a really big challenge because the people that know Real Ale are in the craft beer aisle. The people that know Coors Light and they're, I'm hazarding a guess, creatures of habit, like you going in and grabbing your Coors Light for having that extra beer around. Do you see that if you're just kind of like a bit of that creature of habit and you're familiar with it? Do you see the other options and do you go, who is this and should I try them? Or what is your response to something like that?
Yeah. So here's what I liked about it though. Because when you go over to that side, because I didn't see it on the craft beer side. I only go to the craft beer side when I come in for this stuff. When you go to the other side, you see the cases and the 18 packs and the 12 packs. And that's why they need a whole aisle just to themselves. They're kind of down near the end, right? Because they're new. They're not the normal. And they're selling it in 6-packs. I'm like going, oh, it's a test, then invest type of situation. They're not making, which I thought was, because this is still less than a year old or something like that. It's within the year. So I'm like going, how smart is that? they're going to let you kind of dip your toe into it, and the flavor is better. If you think a watered down beer, it is not. It is not watered down beer. It's got taste. It's got flavor. It's got zing. It's got something that And I hope that they see this episode and share it. But it's something that actually has more. When you want more, it isn't just I can just drink this because it's water. This actually has a little bit of zing that you get the flavor right up front. Mm-hmm. Right? I was surprised. Because I don't get that from Coors Light. I get what I get from Coors Light. The reason I drink Coors Light is because it just doesn't affect me. I don't. It just we talked about 10%ers. Yeah, we talked about 10%ers, and that hits you.
I had last week. I had the 9%. This week's 5.2, so that's not bad. Because I was always been looking for the same thing. My light beer, to be honest, is Guinness because it's only 4.2. People think Guinness is so heavy, and no, it's dark in color. It's actually a light beer. It's 4.2%. So I tend to have those Irish stouts as my light beer. Maybe not ideal for a hot summer day, but I don't know. It's got a lot of flavor because that's what I'm always looking for, is something with more flavor than your standard, light beer.
Yeah, and it's 97 right now, right? I mean, we got the pool back there. I don't want heavy, hard beers when I'm out at the pool. I want just something that I can just kind of sip on while we're there. So I was already interested, but I was more interested in two things. He described it the way I described it to you. Think about the training that's involved. Your rep is in one of the largest and the most popular grocery chains in the state. You're talking to a guy that drinks Coors Light primarily, right? And asking me to just try it. Just try it. And he talked about quality, taste, local, right? He wasn't competing on the national level. He was competing on me in that store, and I loved that message.
I'm actually writing that down. We believe that. I like that. Starting a sentence and sort of putting sort of your point of view out there, right? And we've been exploring a lot of that sort of the point of view that where internally it's like, it's our point of view. This is what we believe. We don't say it that way, and I just like that. I took a note of that because I'm gonna play around with that wording a little bit tomorrow. It's powerful.
Well, and of course, I didn't come up with that. That was an Apple thing way back in the 80s or late 70s, right? We believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. And because we think those things, we build our products this way. I'm like going, shit, if every company started that way, you would attract the right customer immediately. Because if people buy people, you're going to connect, right? You're going to connect to the person that believes the same as you believe. I believe in better quality. I believe in better taste. I believe in better, supporting local. Because we believe these things, I want to be there with you. I want to join your team.
And I think that this is such a good reminder of where, like in the software industry, we see it all the time. How much is sold on features and numbers, right? And so if you say, we believe that light beer can have flavor and use better ingredients and can support local, is a lot better than our beer is 473 milliliters of 5.2 alcohol per volume, but that's actually, if coming from the software side, how often do you see even hardware, how often do you see that it's, they try and sell on features and functions, then it falls flat, right? You don't distinguish yourself from anyone else on the planet, right?
How often do we talk about the logos on these beer cans? I'm like, holy shit, that's really cool. That picture, the artwork, whatever it is, we always do. Look at this. They're not even trying to compete on artwork, right? It's just, hey, it's real Texas. I'm not saying it's ugly. I'm saying that it's not what we've seen where there's space cowboys and, fights and all this type of stuff that we've seen.
But very thoughtful as well, because what they're looking at there is because they want to stand out in the non-craft aisle. They want to stand out amongst those sort of peers over there. They're standing out, but there's also disappearing. So there's the purple cow concept of, you have a whole field of white cows and the purple one stands out. But in a case like this, if you are too different, people don't recognize what you are. So, you have all these light beers and it's like, hey, we want to stand out in the group, but we need to be recognized that we are part of the group. And so it's that balancing act of you don't want to be so different, like this, like you said, like the space cowboy and stuff. And it's like, they're like, oh, that's in the wrong aisle. Like they don't connect with it. So really, it's a really tricky balancing act. And I think they did a nice job on balancing that out.
Yeah, no, it's bold, and I'm gonna show it again. It's bold, it's bright. It kind of stands out when you go down through the. Think about Miller Lite with the white and the blue, and then Budweiser's got the red and the white, and Coors Light's the silver and the blue, right? It stands out as different in the aisle. You're like, oh, what's that? It catches your eye, if only for a second. It catches your eye for an extra second, so you think about it. Well, what's that? Right.
Yeah.
And by packaging it in a 6-pack, it makes it less, the risk is less to try it.
Yes.
I thought it was really
Very
smart
thoughtful as well.
to not go right to 12 packs or not right to cases. Like, oh, hey, check this out. This might be your thing next.
If this is floating around on that light beer aisle, and like it's a really kind of cool color, and it's kind of neat, but I don't think people would immediately say
it's too busy.
That's another option. It's not a light beer. It would feel like, again, you're in the wrong aisle, and it could be that Texas Light, if it was in the craft beer aisle, it might feel like that's too much like big beer, and it's big beer, and I'm going to ignore it. So they knew, like, boy, it's interesting to go, like, how do they actually take a crack at this? Well, they stand out, but they fit in. They start with a 6-pack, so they make it easy for you. They're in the right row, not the wrong row. It was really, I think, thoughtful. And I wonder how much of that was planned from the start and how much of it was learned through frankly, testing and failure. Yeah, we went in the wrong row. We had this, we went here, we had too big of a pack. We had, interesting.
Yeah, because I wouldn't have bought this in the craft beer aisle.
Exactly. Yep.
I just wouldn't. That's not what I'm looking for when I'm on that side. And it was really ingenious how that happened, I think. All of it kind of played. Now, I want to see the results. It's still a year old. Yeah. The problem with some of this, like when you start going head to head with Budweiser and Miller and all that, how do you scale, right? I mean, because I don't think real ale is somebody that scales really well across the country. Like I can't be in Seattle or Boston and expect the same experience. Coors had that same problem in the 70s, right? Coors even had a refrigeration problem transporting their beer from Colorado there was laws about how far they could transport based on the way they brewed it and pasteurized it or whatever it was and transported it.
But is that the plan? Like, it sounds to me like if they want to say you can have good light beer that support local, it almost feels more like we're going to scale statewide, but it's going to almost prove out the model that maybe other craft beers in other states and other areas, here's a bit of a model where you can take a crack, but you're not trying to scale for world domination. You're trying to say, I want to take a percentage of Coors Light market share from our state because people should be supporting local.
The name says that, right? Real Texas light beer, right? So I think that probably tells you the strategy, because I think when you go to Oklahoma, what if there's a bunch of Oklahomans that says, no, we just don't like Texas, right? Because of the college rivalry. I mean, all of a sudden you get into all kinds of different politics of the word Texas outside of Texas.
Yeah, exactly. That's interesting, because that's the other thing. Like, just because you want to take on a market like that, that doesn't mean you're trying to necessarily, like, your model doesn't have to be domination and you are the underdog. It's okay to take a slice, take a chunk out of it and have a nice profitable model in there. You don't have to try and beat Walmart, but you can take a bit of their market share, right?
Yeah, I've said for years, with the Walmart thing, you have to, if you're going to beat Walmart, you have to compete hyper local. We'll say your local hardware store. I have to know people in town. When you walk in, hey, Joe, welcome back. All of a sudden, people actually like that personal touch. Again, people buy people. So you have to compete. If you're going to be a local company, you got to compete on a local level. And you got to go back to, I'm going to say, the Wild West, when everybody would walk in and say, hey, Joe, how's Timmy? And his softball team or whatever. Because that's what people like. I know I'm known when I walk into that place. Sometimes when you go to the same bar, Blaine, you just like it when the bartender knows your name and knows what you drink.
Yeah. It's and I'll be honest with you, it's way more rare in Canada than in the United States to have that, like, you build that familiarity up. And so, like, I know there's breweries. It's interesting because there's breweries in town we used to go to quite often, and we've started. It's like you just start to get drawn by a magnet, and we start going to these other places like a Polyrhythm or like Irrational Brewing. Like, their staff are so great, and they have good beer. And there's a lot of places with good beer and nice atmosphere, but the staff bring us back more than I think sometimes the location or the atmosphere, because you like that you walk in and they're just friendly and they remember you. And, I know there's a new brewery in Scottsdale we went to a number of times before we headed back north. And I bet you I was there 3 times and the guy recognized me. He was welcoming me back, knew what beer I drank. Like, it was, it's less common in Canada, to be honest, but I don't think people understand sometimes the power of that, the power of your people and the owner. You're not there every minute of every day. A lot of times, some businesses you are, but a lot of them you aren't. And you have to have staff. You want the staff to build those relationships to bring people back. And I don't think they realize sometimes how powerful that is.
Yeah. Now I'm going to cut in here for a second, but you've never been to one of my live coaching sessions, right? But that's one of the things that we do over at Cashflow Mike is that you are you. If you're brand new, I think people are really surprised when they jump on a live coaching call with me after they buy the Clear Path to Cash package or membership. And I go, hey, Kristen, what's going on here? Or Tim, or, Jim, it doesn't matter. If you're there, I'm connecting with you because I know and realize that people buy people. The other thing that I try to do over Cashflow Mike that we say is unique, which I think they're trying to do, is that compete differently, right? I'm competing differently. They're competing with taste and quality of ingredients, those like that. I compete on, hey, I'm the anti-marketing coach. I'm not trying to tell you I can get you 3 new customers that give you $1 million worth of business in 90 days. I see that in every other ad that's on Instagram right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm telling you, I'm going to give you a skill where you're going to make other people successful, right? And I know that when you give, you also receive. I know that from the bottom of my heart, that when you give and you take your knowledge and you make somebody else successful, it comes back to you. And that's what I'm teaching people to do over at Cashflow Mike. So come check me out. CashflowMike.com, Clear Path to Cash.
That was the worst because it was completely non-existent segue. I'm sitting here sticking to my knit, and when I should have been going, just a nice lead in, a nice like mush ball. But I didn't. I looked at the clock. I'm like, holy cow! Our conversation. I can't believe we are this far in. Like I'm usually watching the clock a bit, but this conversation's been running. So
I'm like, he's going to do it. He's going to do it. He's going to do it. He didn't do it. I'm like, I'll just do it. I
was shocked when I looked up. I'm like, we're 10 minutes further along than I thought. So we've been chatting away here. But you did your own little segue and it was all right. It worked.
Hey, you know what? You know me. I don't care. Real Ale, if you don't sponsor with us, because we can pitch fiddle hoppers. We can pitch, real ale. We can pitch it. I mean, Magic Mind. I mean, Your Life in a Book or Life in a Story. I mean, what was that one?
Oh, that was a few years ago. I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, it was a while ago. But we are the best at pitching our mid-roll sponsorship. You should do it because it's going to be the best money you've ever spent on an ad.
Oh yeah, because you can do like the $5 comment at the start, or you can do the mid-roll. And the mid-roll really, we'll talk about you. We'll talk about your story. In fact, if you want, we'll do both. We can come up with a deal. Mention you at the start, do a nice mid-roll. So, and so hopefully Real Ale's listening to this because you are driving the topic of the show today, and it's a great story.
All right, but let's go back to it's an underdog story, and we spent a lot of time on Real Ale, but the underdog story is all of us. If you really think about it, It doesn't matter if it's software. It doesn't matter if it's Neighbor Breger does glasses. Have I told you that story?
Yeah, the
Eclipse glasses,
solar eclipse ones.
Yeah, and they got all kinds of competitors and stuff like that on Amazon. Yeah. These guys get where you're actually going to buy Eclipse glasses. They went and partnered with like Quick Trip and all these, actual vendors of convenience stores and gas stations, stuff like that. And they got stands that they put in there. They spent their time trying to be the purchase of convenience, because if I know there's an eclipse, a lot of times like going, oh, that's tomorrow. And then I drop into Quick Trip and there's a stand. I'm going to buy it there, not go to Amazon and try to have them, sent to me in advance. I'm buying them on the spot. That's an impulse purchase. They're an underdog, but they're kicking ass at just getting their product placed, because placement in that business is really important.
Everything. Yeah. Every startup is an underdog. I don't care if they're massively VC funded or whatever. It is so hard. Right. And it's we had a demo today, and it was interesting because they came to us, and we've kind of been like, we've already been somewhat shortlisted, checking a few other vendors, came to us first, which was great. But a much bigger business than we generally have worked with. Like, this is $500 million, on their way to $500 million here. And so it's a pretty massive business. And then we look, I kind of have an idea probably who on the competition is. We're the underdog. But you look at it and go, yeah, but you know what? I think there's some stuff we can do that they can't do. But how do you compensate against a giant engine? And it's people, and it's support, and it's like, what can you do to help them get to success? And that's really the only thing is like we can push out there is like, we are going to do so much better on the success side, and meeting with me and my co-founder and our team that is not the same as you're going to get from these big monoliths, right? And it's the same thing as the beer. It's like, it's quality over quantity. Like your best ingredients, best taste, and that this is lessons that all of us as startups or smaller business have to learn is, we have advantages. We got to take advantage of those advantages.
Yeah. Well, because especially in software, no software solves 100% of everybody's problems. It just doesn't. There's always like little stuff you wish it could do better.
Yep.
So when you're in that environment, even if you're at 85% of the way and the big guys are at 90, you could be at 95 just with service, right?
Exactly.
Everything above your software, everything above or beyond what, the big guys are willing to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. It's and that's what we pride ourselves on. And that's what we need to do is, like, because we've had, like, I know I had a conversation with a CFO last week, and it was, we will make sure they're successful. We will go to the kind of ends of the earth to make sure someone's successful. And they had talked with one of the big, massive businesses on the block. And I know they talked with the sales team, and the sales team was just like, here's the cost. And he goes, the price was ridiculous. But he was kind of, I felt very focused on the price. And I think it actually had to do with the fact that there was nothing else to it. It was just like, this is what it costs, or go away. And you know, like that's so there's a lot of hard things about being the underdog. There obviously is a lot of advantages when you're the big monolith. But we do have some advantages. We can move fast, and we can have personal connection with people that aren't just after dollars, right? And so but it's a challenge to figure out how do you take advantage of those opportunities, right?
Yeah, it was kind of like all right, so here's the one that makes me really think about a startup can compete with a big guy. So have you ever heard of the like the body soap and all that type of stuff called Dr. Squatch? Like Sasquatch?
No.
It's got a big foot on the front of it. Oh yeah,
Okay.
dude. They're doing well over 100 million now, but as a startup, just 3 years ago. 3 or 4 years ago.
Wow. Nice.
They went head to head with Old Spice, right? You know how Old Spice was doing all their stuff, guys riding out on, on horses and like being a man and that type of stuff. No, they went head to head with it, and they just tried to be humorous. They would have like a Bigfoot do a commercial. They would have that type of stuff. But that's what I'm talking about. They didn't even try to compete on quality of their product. They competed on just recognition. Like Old Spice became the old man stuff. You only did Old Spice if you were an old man. Like I still buy Old Spice, and I still buy Irish Spring too. But this Dr. Squatch is somebody I've been watching because I'm like going, they came out of nowhere, and now they're they went from nothing to $100 million in revenue in the shortest amount of time I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go into, we'll say Target or Walmart or any of those type of folks, you'll see their products from deodorant to body washes to those type of things. So you don't have to always compete, we'll say even on quality. It could be just on your brand, just getting people's eyeballs and attention, and be different than the perception of the other person.
Yeah, I will say though that they're like, you can't just be different. Like they obviously have a quality brand. Like they nailed that. They had to have nailed that.
No,
right?
But they made fun of legacy brands, right? Their whole advertising campaign was making fun of you if you used your dad's or your grandpa's stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So they nailed that. And that's the underdog. Is like, you got to own something. You got to, like I said, like quality ingredients or quality this, quality, like it's you probably can't do quantity, like, or maybe you can. Maybe there's instances where it's like, yeah, we found a way to make, a bajillion fiddle hoppers for cheaper. I know it's already been, but it's a great word. But you can do that for you can maybe somehow you can offer volume, whatever, but you have to have some kind of advantage. You have to find what is that advantage. If it's like, well, our product is really no better and we really don't have a better message, and we don't really believe in anything more than these guys, and we don't have access. You're not surviving. You're not going to make it. You have to find what is that. They always say, what are you the best at in the world? And you have to believe that. You have to believe that you've got something that is really, and it could be you're better at marketing, or you're better at finding these locations, and like Bregger, it's like, I know where I have to be. I know, like, there's got to be some advantage that you can exploit to take on the big guys.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just like Dollar Shave Club, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're just disposable razors. But it was one of those things where they created this crazy, viral video, right? Remember the guys going through the warehouse and there's like a gorilla that kind of pops out. There's like all this weird stuff that happens. The video went viral. It was a Dollar Shave Club. They ended up getting bought out by, I think, Gillette, just for the cheap razors. They were just cheap razors. Yeah. They didn't try to even compete on quality. They competed on, hey, we're cheaper than the $18 or $30 razors you're buying.
Well, and
That's
that
it.
was, again, like it was solving a problem. Like you kind of forget that. It's like you have to solve a problem. Well, the problem there was razors are way too expensive. Like that was the problem. They're going like, we can give you good quality for a fraction of the price that all of us knew razors were ridiculous. Like the price of them was stupid for what you get.
Mhm.
In fact, I went back to a safety razor and I'll tell you, works better. I don't get razor burn anymore. And those safety razors, like the actual razor blade that you unscrew the top and you slap on the little razor and it's a single blade on each edge, they work better and you get top quality blades for like $1.
Yeah.
I can't believe I ever bought those 5-blade pieces of garbage,
Right. Hey, you know who went the opposite of that? Another Texas company was Yeti. You heard of Yeti coolers? There you go. And early on,
My Palom Peralta Yeti.
See? Oh, is that skateboard stuff? Is that what that is?
Yeah. The only place you can get this mug is at the original Power and Peralta skateboard shop in Santa Barbara, California.
Yeah, but think about that company, right? Think about that company, Yeti. They were a startup and went after Igloo, and they said, we're not going to try to compete with Igloo. We're going to go more expensive, and we're going to go better quality. They went that way. They say, hey, you get tired of cheap-ass coolers by Igloo? Buy our good stuff.
Come to us. Yeah.
Come to us, yes. And then people that had a little bit more disposable income or wanted, they seen these plastic coolers break or, whatever they do. All of a sudden everybody's buying Yetis, and then they moved into cups and things like that. And now they're branding them out, apparently. Right? So think about it.
Yep.
Dude,
Yep.
That's how you compete. You got to find that one thing that makes somebody go, let me try that. And I'll go back to Real Texas Light. Quality, it does taste better. It tastes better, right? It tastes better. So I can tell already quality ingredients, better taste, not your typical session beer, but it's not going to get me, the 10%er, right?
Yeah, you have to have some unique advantage. You have to have a problem you're solving. You have to do it better than the competition and it could be like better might be cheaper. Better might be marketed better might be higher quality. But you have to know, what do you do better? And then the hardest part is finding that product market fit, finding that place where it's like, these are the people that will buy that beer. And there's this group, and there's some that'll never buy it. They will never move from Coors Light, but there's some that will appreciate it. How do you get to them? How do you get that message out? And how do you, how do you identify them so that you can get to them, get that market access to the right people, right message, right time?
Yeah. So I think we're both in that position, right? I mean, me, I'm like the anti-marketing. I'm not promising you, 3 clients in 3 months for $2,500 a month. That's what every other coach in my space does. And I'm frustrated by that because it's not about bringing on more clients that you disappoint. Because you might get them, but you can't keep them when they realize you can't solve the problem.
Yeah. It's really, again, it's you're dedicating yourself to solving a problem. And I'm sure they believe that they are too. They're solving a problem, but you found a gap. You found that gap in the market where they're like, people are not prepared to go out and offer this sort of opportunity. Right. And it's,
well, you did too.
What
did Rick say?
Sorry, Rick.
What did Rick say?
I had the wrong stream open. Apparently he does not like light beer. So
Rick doesn't. Dude, I drink so much Bud Select. Here's the thing about drinking beer with Rick. If you go to a bar with Rick, he will buy you a beer. But the caveat is it comes with a shot. So you're going to do a Jägermeister. You're going to do like a Vegas bomb. You're like going, I just want to drink a couple beers. No, you're going to drink a couple beers and a couple shots. That's how Rick treated me for like years, right? As a friend. That's what he does to his friend. I'd hate to know what somebody doesn't like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. That's funny. So, what it says, the breast tastes like doo-doo? That doesn't even make sense. But it's cheap, so people buy it.
Rick, you got to work on your typing skills. Oh, Bud Select. You miss Bud Select. Oh, my God. Okay.
That's funny. All right, so remember, next week is the 200 Super PAC to celebrate our 200th episode. I cannot believe that I've spent 200 hours with you. When I think about it that way, like we spent 200 hours together.
Just on the Biz, Beer, and BS. And make sure you like, follow, subscribe, comment, text us. Rick just got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Rick, you just got like 6 entries today, because if you send a comment, you get an entry in the 200 Super PAC. So
Rick has been killing it. Every episode, he's been like, ding, 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 ding. Ever since we started calling this, Rick has been in.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
He's got a crazy amount of entries.
Make sure you do, guys. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow, send us a text, whatever, and we will enter you in the draw for the 200 Super PAC, which is going to be awesome once we figure out all the stuff's going to go in. But there's some good stuff. There's a 5x8 autograph by us. There is some other swag. There's some other fun stuff. So make sure you guys tune in next week, because we're going to have a special guest. The special guest is going to draw from the hat, and there's going to be a really interesting topic as well. So that's going to be a fun one.
There you go. Hey, $199 in the books.
$199.
It was a good one. And Real L, specifically James. So James, thank you very much, because you gave me some good content. You gave me some good advice, and you were a great representative of the company. So thank you very much.
I really would love to try that ale. I don't know if it's up here in Canada, but I would love to try some of that Real Ale's brews. So
I know how to do it. I mean, there's a suite over here for you and Heather. All you gotta do is come. I mean, we have an airport and everything. I mean, we have an airport. You just come here. Like,
yeah, we will maybe do the flight from Scottsdale. I'm not sure we want to try the flight from Edmonton, because it'll be like a 28-hour trip with 4 stops. Probably coming from here.
There you go. All right, $199 in the books. Stay tuned next week. Come live. You're going to want to see it live.
Check out their website at mikeandblaine.com. Then subscribe to the podcast and buy these guys a beer.